Hey everybody, Johnny B here with devslips.com, and welcome back to our next video in our Building the Where's the Food Truck app. In this video, we're going to continue on with our app and build out our reviews page, alright? So right now we can select a food truck, we get here, and we want to click on this reviews button, and we want that to take us to a new activity that displays the reviews for that food truck, alright? So let's get to it, and just to take a look at what we're going to be needing to work with, let's open up Atom and come on down here to our reviews. And so our reviews is pretty simple. All we have is a title, the title of the review, text, and then the food truck. Because what we want to do is, if you look in our routes, let's see down here, or I should say in our controller for the food truck, when we are getting a specific review, let's see, where are we? Remove, get all food trucks, get a specific food truck, add a food truck, delete, update an existing record. Where's the reviews at? Here we go. Get reviews for a specific food truck. So our path is v1 food truck reviews, and then we need to pass in the food truck ID. All right, so let's look at Postman and let's get reviews for food truck. I'm gonna open up RoboMongo. I'm gonna grab this food truck ID. Okay, so back here in Postman, I'm gonna say get food truck review and send, just to see what our data is looking like. All right, so we got a food truck, text, and title. All right, so let's go ahead and build out our data model for our food truck review, just like we did for our food truck itself. And we're going to follow a very similar path that we did in our very first video, where we set up the food truck model, then we set up our JSON request, and then we set up our recycler views. We're going to follow that a very similar path, so let's go ahead and do that. Right here in our model, I'm going to right click and say new Java class, and this is going to be food truck review. All right, and whoops. All right, so what do we need in our food truck review? We need private string ID, and let's go ahead and just initialize these to empty strings. Private string title, and let's initialize that to an empty string. I say private string and text. Okay, so we have an ID for the review, the title of the review title, or the review title, and then the review text. Okay, so let's go ahead and then create getters and setters, or just getters actually. So I'm going to say generate getters for all three of those, press OK. And then let's also create a constructor. So right click again, generate a constructor. I'm going to select all three and press OK. All right, I'm going to save that. And then let's work on our JSON request. And let's do that here in our data service. Where are you at? Data service. I'm going to close others. All right. So our request is going to be very similar to our request for all of the food trucks. So I'm actually just going to copy this in the interest of saving time, and we'll just modify it. So I'm going to paste it. I'm going to say request all the food trucks reviews. All right, and our array list, we are going to be returning, instead of an array list of food trucks, it is going to be an array list of food truck reviews. And our function is going to be called download reviews. And we're still going to be passing in the context. We are not going to be passing in a trucks downloaded listener. We'll get to that in a bit. And our string URL is not get food trucks. So let's go ahead and create that. We can copy this, paste it, and we're going to say get reviews, and it's only a little bit different. What do we want? We want API v v1 food truck reviews, I believe. Let me double check that. Food truck. Reviews, yep, and then I'm going to add the / at the end because we are going to be adding onto it a food truck ID. Okay, so I'm going to say get reviews, come back to our data service. Okay, so our string URL is now get reviews plus, and then one of the things we're going to be passing into our download reviews function is a food truck, because we need to know the food truck ID that we are getting reviews for, and I'm going to call that food truck. And so I'm going to say get reviews plus food truck dot get ID. All right, so now our URL is complete. So we're going to need a final array list, and this is also going to be of food truck review, and we're going to call this reviews list, and that's going to be a new array list. Then our volley request is still going to be the same. It's going to be a JSON array request, but instead of get trucks, we're going to be doing get reviews, and we're going to say new JSON request. It is indeed a get request. We are passing in a URL still, and we are listening for a JSON array. So that looks good. Public void on response. That's fine. That's fine. This is also all good, except for this is going to be, we don't need this. This part's going to be a lot simpler. It is simply JSON array food. We're just going to call this reviews, and our loop is the same. We're going to be looping through this array of JSON objects, and JSON object review is equal to reviews dot get JSON object, and string title is equal to reviews dot get string title. And what else do we have here? We have an ID, so it's going to be reviews dot get string ID, so that works. And what are we getting yelled at for? JSON array cannot be applied. JSON object, oh, this should be review and review. There we go. And lastly, the text is equal to review dot get string, and the property is text. All right, then we're going to say food truck review is equal to new food truck review, and we're going to get rid of this. We're going to say new food truck review, and this will tell us what we need. We need an ID, a title, and text. All right, and those we just extracted from our JSON data right here. And then we're going to add our, what did we call our food truck list? We called it reviews list. So I'm going to say reviews list dot add new food truck review. All right, and then we don't have a listener yet. We are going to have it in a little bit, so I'm going to just comment that out until we add it. Then we need to pass in the volley request that we just created, which is called get reviews. So I'm going to pass in get reviews, and then we are going to return not a food truck list, but a reviews list. All right, I'm going to save that. And what are we getting yelled at right here about? String and object. String text review dot get string. That's what it should be. And save that. Do we have any other problems here? All right, we're looking good. All right, so that looks good. So let's go ahead and create our activity now. So over here in the activities package, I'm going to right click and say new Java class. And that's not what I want, actually. We want a right click and say new activity. And we're going to say empty activity. And we're going to call this reviews activity. All right. So here we are with our blank activity, and what do we want to do? So once we, just to get up and running, when we load this up, let's go ahead and load up our data service. Call calling the download reviews function, okay? But to do that, we need to have a food truck available in our activities, in our review activities activity. So what do we need to do? Just like we passed a food truck object from our initial screen to our details view screen, we're going to pass it from our details view screen to our reviews activity screen. All right, so let's go ahead and get that set up here in our food truck detail activity. So just like we did in our initial screen, food truck lists activity, let's go ahead and do the same thing. So I'm just gonna copy this here and paste it in our food trucks detail activity. And then down here, we are going to create a function similar to our function in our food trucks list activity to load the activities review screen. So I'm going to copy this function as well and come back to our food truck detail activity. And I'm going to say copy and paste, and this is going to be load reviews. And we are indeed passing a food truck, and our new intent instead is going to be food truck detail activity, and our destination is reviews activity. But we are passing in the same type of extra, so that should just be fine. And extra item truck. Let's see if we're missing anything here. Ah, yes. Here in the put extra, this should be food truck detail activity dot extra item. There we go. So now everything is being used. Let's go ahead and save that. And then we need to go ahead and hook up our buttons. We never hooked up our buttons that we created in our food truck list detail activity. So come on over here to look at our activity, food truck, what did we call it? Detail view. Okay, so let's select our buttons, and we need to add some IDs onto here. So for our reviews button, I'm going to say reviews underscore button. Let's make this a little more descriptive. View reviews button. And update, yes. Add review, that's going to be add review button for the identifier. And for modify, we're going to say modify review, oh yes. For that button, we're going to say modify truck button. And yes, update. I'm going to save that and come back into our food truck detail activity and get these set up. So I'm going to say private. Those are all buttons. And I'm going to call this add review button. I'm going to say view reviews button. I'm going to say private button, and this is going to be modify truck button. And then let's hook those up down here. I'm going to say add review button is equal to a button. I'm going to say find view by ID r.id dot, and that is add review button. And then our view reviews button, that is equal to a button, casting it as a button, and then saying find view by r.id dot view reviews button. And then lastly, modify truck button is equal to a button, and find view by ID r.id dot modify truck button. Okay. And then let's go ahead and make it so that we can click that button. So we're going to say view reviews button dot set on click listener new view on click listener. There we go. So now when we click on that reviews button, this is where we want that to be called. And so what we're going to do is we are going to simply load this. We're going to call this function load reviews. So right here, I'm going to say load reviews, and we're going to pass into it a food truck, our food truck. All right, I'm going to save that. So now if all goes well, when we click on the reviews button, we should transition to our reviews activity. And here we need to extract our food truck that is getting passed from our detail view. So I'm going to say variables. And what do we need? We need, again, this guy right here. So I'm going to, or actually we need this guy right here, food truck get intent dot get parcelable. Okay, so I'm going to copy this from our food truck detail activity since it's actually the very same thing. And we need to create a variable for it though. So I'm going to say private food truck, and we are calling it food truck. And then to test if it's working, we're just going to do a quick print statement and say food truck dot get name. All right, and I'm going to save it, and let's replay. All right, so I'm going to click on Taco Nirvana, click on reviews to load our activity, and there we go. We got our print statement saying Taco Nirvana. Okay, so now we are able to see that we are indeed passing our food truck object from our detail activity to our reviews activity. So what do we need to do next? We need to set up an interface so that we can know when our data call is complete. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up some of our other variables we need. So we know we're going to need an array list of food truck reviews. So I'm going to say array list of food truck reviews. And we're going to call this reviews. And that is a new array list. All right, perfect. And then we need a public interface. So I'm going to say public interface. And we're going to call this review interface. And we're going to say void success, boolean success. I'm going to save that. And then right here, we're going to then use that interface. We are going to say review interface. We're going to call it listener is equal to new review interface. And again, if we are successful, then let's go ahead and just to test that things are working, we're gonna do a print statement. But first, let's do our API call right here. So we're gonna say, so we are returning, if you remember, we are returning an array of review objects. So we're gonna say reviews is equal to data service dot get instance dot download reviews, and we need to pass into it a context, which is this. We need to pass in a food truck, which is our food truck that we received from our detail view, and then we also need to pass in the listener, but we need to adjust our data service call. So come back into our data service and request all food trucks. We are passing into this function a review interface, and we are calling it listener. Okay, and then remember we commented out this guy right here, so I'm going to uncomment it, which lets us know that what's wrong, listener dot success. Oh, right, this needs to be final reviews activity. Okay, so once we reach this point, we know that we have successfully parsed our JSON data into food truck review objects. We've added it to our reviews list, and we are passing it into, or we are setting that return value equal to our array list here, which is reviews and is never accessed. Reviews. And so if success, then we are going to just say sout.reviews, and we'll see if that works. I'm going to say press, we're going to replay this. All right, so I'm going to click on Taco Nirvana, click on reviews, and hey, there we go, system out. We have a food truck review. Very good, delicious tacos. All right, awesome. So we know that we have our data coming through. We know that our API call is working and everything is looking good. So just to recap what we did in this video, we created our food truck review model, which we got from our API information. We know we had an ID, title, text, created our getters, created our constructor. Awesome. So then we went and created our API call, which we copied from our get food trucks API call because it's very similar. We are still doing an array list request, JSON array request. We get a response, and then we parse that response's JSON into variables, which we then pass into our constructor for our new food truck review. And then we add that new food truck review to a reviews list, which is an array list that we declared. And then we return that reviews list, which we then assign in our reviews activity to this arrays list. And then now we're going to be able to use that when we set up our recycler view for this activity, which we are going to do in the next video. And just one more thing that I wanted to highlight. We are passing into our download reviews function a food truck. And that food truck is used here to get the truck ID, because in our get request, the API route specifies a specific food truck ID required to return that specific food truck's reviews. Okay. All right, so looking good. In the next video, we are going to set up our recycler view so that we're able to display those reviews. All right, so I will see you in the next one.